Hello and welcome to the Football Canada Flag Football Introductory video. Now, this video is for any new parent, coach, official, or even player who wants to understand the game of flag football a little bit better. Now, this video is just going to scratch the surface of the rules just so you know what to look for when you go to your flag football games. For starters, flag football is a non-contact game. Now, when two teams share the same playing area, they're bound to bump into each other every now and then, but no player is intentionally allowed to hit or make contact with another player to gain an advantage.
While there are different formats and variations of flag football here in Canada, we're going to be talking about the one that has supported regional, national, and world championships, which is 5-on-5.
Now, teams typically consist of 10 to 12 players, but you must have 5 players on the field at all times. Now, flag is open from ages as low as 5, and it goes all the way into your adult divisions. Let's take a look at the field, shall we? Now, keep in mind that flag football fields are a lot smaller than touch or tackle. As you can see, we have end zones which are 10 yards in length. Then we have these no-run zones, which are 5 yards long. We have a midfield area that varies depending on the division you're in. And lastly, we have the utmost important midfield line. Let's get more into this. End zones are pretty standard to football. Your objective is to get the ball into the end zone to score points. The no-run zone is unique to flag football. When approaching the opposing team's end zone, the last 5 yards is called the no-run zone. If you start a play within those 5 yards, the play must result in a pass. Every time the offense starts with the ball, unless after an interception, they always start on their own 5-yard line. Now, since we play the Canadian game, the team will have 3 plays or downs to get to the midfield line, which acts as a first down line if you're comparing it to touch or tackle. Once a team crosses that midfield line, they will get a first down and have 3 attempts to score into the opponent's end zone. Now, if they fail to either score to the opponent's end zone or cross the midfield line, the opposing team will start with the ball on their own 5-yard line. Next up, let's talk equipment. Now, flag football doesn't require much to get going. All you really need is a football and some flags. Now, there are some specific rules around flags. The basics, though, are you need to have 2 flags on your hips, one on the left, one on the right. Make sure that they don't slide both to one side, to the front, or to the back. They also have to be free from obstruction, so this means they can't be wrapped around the belt, tucked into the pants too much. There has to be enough for the defense to fairly grab. Let's touch on scoring here real quick. So touchdowns are worth 6 points, and after you score one, you have the option to either go for a 1 or a 2-point convert. If you go for a 1-point convert, you'll do a play from the 5-yard line trying to get into the opponent's end zone. And if you go for 2 points, you'll try from 10 yards out trying to get in. Now remember, if you go for 1 point, you're within the 5 yards no-run zone. So if you go for 1, the play must be a pass. Something to keep in mind. Also, there's no kicking in 5-on-5 flag football, so no punts or field goals. Now let's talk about some of the rules and positions that make flag unique. If anyone on the defense intends to rush the quarterback, they must be at least 7 yards away from the line of scrimmage. Now, this can be just one player or it can be all 5. There's no limit, really. Similar to defensive linemen in tackle football, if they intend to rush the quarterback, they must wait for the ball to be snapped before they can go. Something to keep in mind is that only the rusher who is within 2 yards of that rushing beanbag is entitled a free path to the quarterback. This means they can't be interfered with or obstructed. Mind you, there's no blocking in flag football anyway, but the penalty for this would be rusher interference. The offense must move their routes around that rusher coming in. Let's take a look at what rusher interference looks like in a real game.
So as you can see here, we have the offense on the left in blue and the defense on the right in white. We have the rusher right here standing in the middle of the field within 2 yards of that rusher beanbag. Watch what happens when the ball is snapped and he starts charging for the quarterback. As you can see here, the rusher is interfered with by 2 receivers on the offense. Now, while they didn't block or hit the rusher had to slow down his path in order to avoid contact with them. This is a classic example of rusher interference. Let's watch it one more time.
Looking at the offensive side of the ball, let's take a look at some of these unique flag rules. For starters, the quarterback cannot run the ball across the line of scrimmage, regardless if there's a rush or not. The only time they can run the ball is if they hand it off and then get the handoff back again, but that doesn't happen too often. Also, the quarterback only has 7 seconds to either throw or get rid of the ball. This is just to keep the game going at a fast pace. The one major exception to this is if the quarterback hands it off or does a fake handoff, they can sit back there for as long as they would like. In this last section here, I want to go over the 2 most common penalties you see in flag football. The first is flag guarding. When running with a ball carrier is not allowed to use their hands or any part of their body to prevent a defender from grabbing their flags. Now, this usually happens in one of 2 ways. The first is through a stiff arm or slapping a defender's hand away. You can't do that. The second is through running motion. So sometimes when receivers run, Their arms come down over their flags. If that prevents a defender from grabbing their flag, that is a flag guarding penalty. I always tell the receivers and ball carriers to run with their arms up. It feels a bit unnatural, but it'll prevent you from getting a flag guarding penalty. Lastly, let's talk about one of the most common defensive penalties, which is an illegal contact or holding. Now, when a defender is going for an offense's flags, they are not allowed to grab onto the shorts or the jersey in order to slow or change the direction of the ball carrier. The classic example of this is grabbing onto the player's jersey, pulling them into them, and then grabbing the flag. That's not allowed. We have to remember this is a non-contact sport. If the defense does grab onto either the shorts or jersey of a ball carrier, but they let go immediately, or it doesn't change the direction or momentum of the ball carrier, then no penalty should be called. And that's it. Those are the basics of flag football to start you on your journey. Now, did you know that there are national and regional tournaments that take place every year all across the country? Flag is one of the fastest growing sports in this country, and it's growing faster and faster every year. There's no better time to get involved in flag than right now. And when you do, I'll see you out there. Take care.